and welcome back, everybody. It is Monday as I'm recording this, but probably a lot of you are watching this later, a different day of the week. So VIPs, XRP, and the long game, the TCB long game. I'm going to talk about a lot of different things. Some of it is going to relate to not just XRP, but Bitcoin, Ethereum, digital assets, the RV, Bob Joyce, Elvis Presley, world events. We're going to cover everything in this video pretty much. But maybe if I get some comments from you guys, I can respond to some of those. Live is always better for trying to answer questions and responding. But like I always say, the live videos are the ones that I try to do my best to respond. Hi, Sue. Thank you. Thank you for the prayers. I was going to make sure I say that at the end, but thank you all again, and as always, for the prayers and support. I finished chemo 10 days ago, and yes, I'm counting, after about 2.5 months of it. And today I'm really feel like I'm starting to get back to normal-ish, and getting past that. So that's a good feeling. And it's a long process I'm going through this year, but all your prayers and support have been amazing. And it really does make a difference. And I believe in the power of prayer. So thank you. Okay, so first of all, before we get into what I want to talk about with Pastor Bob and the long game, that's kind of the main topic I want to talk about, and I'll explain that very soon. I'm going to try to keep moving along. We now have VIP memberships, not just for this channel, but also for another social. I'm not going to say it right now, but we have two different options. And it's just, it doesn't cost a lot, but it makes a big difference to support what we're trying to do with this channel. And my main passion being the Philippines Kids Feeding Program. 100%, all the money that goes towards donations for that program is going to the kids and feeding kids. Kids should not have to go hungry, as many of you agree. So I want to start with that. Oh, and the memberships. So a lot of you like to keep it on YouTube and don't want to go to any other socials or do any other links, that kind of stuff, which I totally understand. So part of the reason why we started the YouTube membership on this channel is so you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay right on the channel. And what is just posted this morning, and we're going to keep doing to make the membership interesting, is we're going to put videos there that nobody else can see. They're not public videos, so they're not going to be broadcast anywhere except for the membership on this channel. So you can check that out. I think you can see even the thumbnails and the videos that are there so far, I believe. But you can decide for yourself if you want to support the channel. It would be like a monthly sort of membership. Okay, moving on. You can check all that in the links. Anyway, I just wanted to at least let you guys know what we're trying to add and do on this channel. Welcome. Before I say any more, welcome Sue, Irma, Martine, and yeah, thank you for joining me. Okay, so let's talk about XRP. XRP is my main digital coin, okay? And disclaimer, this is not financial advice. You shouldn't buy anything based on what I say or anything from this channel. However, I've done many years of research on digital assets, started with Robinhood and Bitcoin, and then went on to test out and use probably 30 different apps. That's not an exaggeration, of that, basically where you can buy and sell digital assets. And not just that, but I did hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours of research, starting back in about 2018, I'm going to say, maybe earlier, 2017, 2018. And for those of you who know, XRP is one of the most implemented into the banking system on a world level. And I'm not an expert. I'm not really good at rehashing the information I've collected, but discernment has played a big part of it, and just knowing who to listen to. There's just so many connections with XRP. It's the fastest and the cheapest way to send money. That's one of the big things about XRP. Vice Bitcoin and Ethereum is really expensive and really slow. So the way I describe it to somebody who doesn't know anything about digital assets, also known as cryptocurrencies, but I prefer the term digital assets, is I describe Bitcoin and Ethereum as kind of like the Atari or Commodore 64 of digital assets. Like they're the first, they had the early mover advantage. They were first, but they're old and slow. And then there's there's thousands, tens of thousands of new coins that are faster, better, essentially. But XRP also had an early mover advantage as being the fastest and the cheapest. And they've been getting implemented all over the place. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the long game with XRP probably. But just generically speaking, that's why if I'm talking to anybody about digital assets, trying to give any sort of advice about what you should consider investing in, first of all, you should be playing the long game. You should not be investing any money that you're going to need anytime soon. And two, it should be extra money. Like, don't invest money that you don't have. And that's just, investment advice in general. Or if you're doing anything that you consider high risk whatsoever, it should not be money that you need for bills, food, and other things. So that's just general advice. Hopefully you've heard before and you're probably already thinking about. But we'll talk more about that later. Let's get into the long game a little bit and what I mean by that. Because the long game applies not just to the financial stuff, the digital assets, the RV, which is short for the revaluation of currencies around the world, which many of you have some understanding of if you haven't been following and paying attention to the hopium that it's going to happen any day now. I did a video earlier this year, I think it was, basically just pointing out how ridiculous the hopium has been. Hopium meaning the channels that just basically say any day it's going to happen. We're all going to be rich. Any of you who are holding certain currencies or whatnot. And I'm not here to say it's not going to happen. In fact, I'm saying, and I have been saying for years, that this stuff is happening. And I was one of the earlier ones to say and predict, if I can say that I was discerning all these things happening. Not because I'm an expert on all these topics, but because that was a gift that the Lord gave me, was the gift of discernment. And one of my favorite things, I'm going to bounce around a little bit, I understand that, but one of the things that I've loved watching is body language experts, listening to how they've learned certain techniques over many years, how they can read people, their reactions, mannerisms, tone of voice, tempo, all these different kinds of things, and how they can figure out if they're lying or not. And I think most of the time these people have some level of discernment, but these are really just techniques that can be trained. But I didn't learn to be a body language expert or reader or anything like that. I was just born with the gift. That's a gift that God gave me. So when I've spent these hundreds and thousands of hours of researching different topics, whether it be medical stuff, foods, the medicines, the natural stuff, the RV, the digital assets, the presidents, and politics, and all these different topics that we could go on and on about. I had just that gift naturally. And honestly, sometimes it seems like a blessing and a curse because it's a great gift to have and a talent, if you want to call it that. I call it a talent. But it's also something you can't turn off. So sometimes you're in situations where you wish your mind just wouldn't go there and you wouldn't be just naturally reading into the situation or people. But I can't help it. It's part of who I am. So I went on that little side tangent to say that discernment is huge in this world, this time that we live in right now, because of all these topics. In all of these topics, discernment can play a huge part as to how you live your life and how you can understand that God is talking to you through the Holy Spirit and guiding you to different things. And this year, I've personally had a huge experience with that in both good and tough ways with my second battle against cancer. First one was in 2008, and this one now 2025. But I did not want to do chemo at all. And I had been studying the natural foods and all that stuff for years already in treatments, and I knew which way I wanted to go. And it was not the chemo, radiation, anything like that. It wasn't the drugs. But as it turned out, it was kind of a serious situation, and I had really tough decisions to make that were timely. So I decided I was going to go ahead and do the chemo, which I almost stopped halfway through because I was still questioning and still praying for guidance. But I decided to go through and complete. It was about a 2.5 month process. I was praying the whole way through that there was not going to be any short or long-term side effects, or long-term, I should say. There's always short-term side effects. And so far, I really believe that those prayers were answered. Many of you were praying for me. Hello, Elaine. Nice to see you. And, I'm trusting God through that process. But now that it's over, I'm going full bore on just the natural route and the non-side effect direction of treatments. I'll just leave it at that. A lot of you already know what I'm talking about that too. So anyhow, back to discernment and now the long game. I got my notes here so I don't get off track too much because there's so many topics I'm trying to cover. The long game, if you haven't noticed, again, I've been talking about this for years, but we have all these people delivering the hopium online about this week, next week, it's going to happen, right? Big stuff. And there is a lot of big stuff happening really every week in announcements. We've gotten so used to it. I don't know, we could say since 2020, perhaps. Yeah, the end of 2020 or before, depending on who you are and how deep you're researching. There's been big stuff happening all the time and just new info coming out and whatnot. But most people want to listen to the hopium side. And maybe I've been one of the boring ones in that case because I've been here saying that we need to think long term because really big changes don't happen until the masses are ready for them. And that's just the way the world works. Unless it's like a war, something really huge that there's just no way it can't alter history from that day forward, like Pearl Harbor or Hiroshima, those different events. Unless it's something like that, which we hope, of course, doesn't happen, especially the good things, it's going to take time to make those changes. And so I'm a firm believer that XRP is going to be huge. I'm a firm believer in the good things that are taking place in a certain administration that I won't name and certain presidential things. But I've been saying for years that these things were going to take time, while all the while back then you had all those other people giving the hopium that, oh, this week, next week, and a lot of them are still saying it now, and I can't even believe it. Sometimes I just go back and check some of the channels, um, and see, are they still saying the same things pretty much? And some of them are, and I can't believe that they probably have a lot of the same followers too that are listening to them. And there's always an excuse for why it didn't happen this week or last week. But again, that's why discernment is so huge to the time we're living in now. So the long game now, okay, whether we're talking about like, let's say the war ending, you know what I'm talking about, or just the major world events, the RV, the digital assets becoming more mainstream. These are all long game things that are unfolding. And so you should think about it. And so if you think about investing, if you haven't yet, in digital assets, like I said, I'm not really the kind of person that, I'm not going to be posting investment app links in my video descriptions and stuff. That's not my main passion and focus. But you should really look into it, because I think there's no better time to be an investor than now because of what's folding. It's such an epic shift in the world financial systems, not just whatever country you're in, but there and the world, that there's going to be sort of benchmarks or moments when it shifts up a notch. We've already seen that happening with gold and silver, I believe. And so those who are early movers have the advantage. And how that plays into the long game as far as the financial stuff is, because it takes time for the masses to accept it and adopt it, it may not, I should take that back. It probably won't be like an overnight thing. Unlike what the popular content creators have been telling you guys for years already. And many of them are still doing it today, like I said. And they have tens and hundreds of thousands of followers who are just eating up every word, but they've been wrong so many times, really. They have some great intel, perhaps, but at the same time, they've been delivering the hopium. So I'm here to give you guys the more centered, long game focus, whatever it is, whether it's your personal goals, financial goals, just how to keep the noise of the world out in general. You may want to turn off the TV. I did that many years ago. 99% of my TV watching gone since probably 2017. I don't know the exact year even, but it was somewhere around there. And that was a huge blessing for me. Not only did it realign my focus on my personal goals, but it just totally got rid of most of the drama and irritation, anger that is just over and over, that's played on cable TV, cable news, all that stuff. Not to mention the commercials, which we all have to deal with some of, but obviously I got rid of a lot more of those when I stopped watching cable TV. So with the long game now, let's maybe finish here with Bob Joyce, everybody's favorite pastor. As you know from the last video and maybe recent videos, Let me pause right there really quick. God is good. Amen. Elaine, thank you for the blessings. Appreciate you all. So, okay, so now let's tie in the long game factor to Pastor Bob Joyce. Once again, we've had a lot of information come out about him. We've connected a lot of the dots. We have almost 400 videos in our playlist here on this channel now. Plenty for any of you who want to dig deeper. I've seen quite a few of you just in the last few weeks that said, hey, this one video convinced me that Pastor Bob is EP, or something similar to that. And so and I already knew this, but there's constantly more people that are seeing the videos, whether they're on this channel or somewhere else. And they're like, wow, he sounds just like him. He looks just like him. He plays the same instruments as him. And he plays the instruments the same style, the same way. There's matching body features and all these things, which, by the way, I don't know how anybody could say that there's no similarity whatsoever as far as appearances. Sometimes some people say that, and I don't know how. But anyhow, or say that he doesn't sound the same. It seems funny to me. But there's plenty of, there's a long list of coincidences. And like I said in a post recently, I'm probably going to do a ebook that's going to list all of those. And it was something I was thinking about doing anyway for a video, but maybe it'll be a video in a book. But that might be something you would all be interested in, something you could share, something just kind of entertaining. But Pastor Bob's influence continues to grow. And again, I've never been on the side of the hopium with Pastor Bob that, hey, this month or next week, anytime, he could be coming out publicly, it's going to happen, or just pushing too much of that side of the coin. Because, like I've said, and I know many of you agree, I don't want to put any demand on him. I think what he's doing as a pastor and teaching and sharing the gospel, he's doing what he loves. And so whether you think he's EP or not, you should be fine with that. 90 years old, right? He's doing what he loves. Probably not going to make a big career change at this point, or start doing a bunch of shows. Maybe just the occasional gig like George Magazine, hello, different events like that, which as of right now is just an annual event, right? So he's just happy and loving doing the Sunday services and the music services, and there should really be no demands on him from us. And so I will keep saying that, in future videos. But with the long game, hello there, Matthew. There's the rumors of 2027 with Pastor Bob, with that being, I don't know, I can't remember the name of the museum or something that is supposed to open in 2027. There's the rumor of his book that's going to be released upon his death, which seems kind of grim, and I'm not sure if I buy that. But everything about him sort of becoming public is really just rumors and comments that I've seen from all my research. So I really don't buy into any of it, except for the one thing I've mentioned, which is a certain president who has talked about sort of putting on a new bill, if that's what it's called, where people who went celebrities who went into hiding could come back out publicly without any repercussions or worries about being sued or anything like that, which of course would come into play for somebody like Elvis and any celebrity, right? Who's been gone for years. They just kind of disappeared. There's always going to be somebody looking to take them to court and get their money. So I see that as a possibility, but once again, it ties into my theory, my discernment. This is just me and what I think is the long game, meaning there's probably not a set time on when it's going to happen. But part of the reason why I both support Pastor Bob and the EP theories and put out the content to you guys is because I believe he is not only going to play some kind of role in this long game, but that he has been already. And so it leaves a whole lot of questions, obviously, for all of us about where are we at now and where are we going and what role do certain people play in this process. And even those people who are involved in the process, assuming Pastor Bob is to some level, whether it be just like a smaller level, whether it be in revival, because that's the role that I think that he's meant to play, whether that be from men planning this long game or God. Really, it's both, but hopefully you know what I mean by that. So that's how I believe the long game, generally speaking, ties into Pastor Bob, is revival, and at the right timing, he will be made known publicly, like what we're waiting for, essentially. And it could be a whole lot different than what any of us are expecting. And I concede that myself. All I can do is sort of share the discernment and things that I'm seeing, how people react, the sort of odd things. Um, some people are really against channels like ours who keep putting out any info about Pastor Bob because of the security reason, because like we're making him known to the world, right? And we want to protect him. But the thing is, if you can't have it both ways, if you believe that he is Elvis and he's trying to avoid the public life, then why is he at the same time releasing albums, putting out videos on YouTube every week, and working with George Magazine and Gene Ho and going to Mar-a-Lago and being seen with different people and celebrities when he's supposed to just be a small-time pastor? You can't have it both ways. So when I see the things like that, the oddities, the things that don't match up with each other, and combine that with all the other things like his musicianship, the way he talks about certain things, and on around we go. Those are the things that will actually motivate me to dig a little bit deeper, sometimes change the way I do things, look for content, share, create content for all of you. But those are the things actually that make me want to do it more or do it just better. And so that's why we continue on this channel to share it. And like I said, I never planned on this channel sort of becoming totally focused on Bob Joyce. And I'm still thinking about how actually this video is in itself another step in, I guess you could say, a new direction for me, because I want to expand to all of these topics. But with the way YouTube and the algorithm works, every channel kind of needs to have its own niche. So that was sort of a general decision that I made to make that the niche. We already had so many videos and everything was kind of going that direction. So that's why we started the second channel, MattSavinaMusic, which is now just my main passion, which is music, original music, music videos, contemporary Christian, worship, and all that kind of music, basically. So that's the music channel, and then this has become the sort of Bob Joyce channel, info channel, however you want to think of it. Who we got checking in? Janelle, hello, and nice to meet you too. So let's see, did I cover everything? I'm trying to keep these, I think, typically within a half hour, and I already went over that, or at least I'd like to. But I am not his relative. It took me a while, but I finally got an email back from them. We'll just say I got an email back from bobjoyce.org. And so it has helped to give us a better direction with this channel, I think, and to try to support him and the church there as much as possible, but from obviously an outside perspective. And so the one thing you're going to get from this channel is things are probably not going to stay exactly the same for too long, because I'm always looking to improve the way I do things. And anytime I'm giving anybody any sort of advice or perspective on a challenge, or I guess I should say personal goals, entrepreneurial things, but just always try to improve, always find ways to improve. And that's just how I think naturally. And I guess I get bored with doing things the same way over and over again. Maybe that's part of it. I'm always looking for a better way of adapting and overcoming problems, finding solutions. So we will keep adjusting the content to however we think best supports Pastor Bob and everything that's going on. But it really is right now, once again, the long game. We're all going through a very long game right now. Um, and it's all about information, and it's all about getting the masses to a different place on just about every topic you could think of. So I think I will wrap it up there. Hopefully that gives you all a little bit more perspective. Janelle said, sure looks like him too. Very odd. I know Trump is in his. Oh, I'm not sure if you're saying the president and Elvis look similar. Yeah, I think I saw something like that, like a comparison. And I don't really get into the whole relative theory uh, between them. I mean, anything's possible, but I really haven't seen any, I guess, strong evidence of that, perhaps, besides the appearance. There probably is similarity there. I think I saw something a long time ago, but a photo comparison of the two. You're welcome, Sue. Yeah, there is a variety of interesting information. Um, that if you look into, like I'm saying, just about on any topic, and if you use discernment, if you think for yourself and essentially question every single thing you're being told, shouldn't be that way, but if you do that, you are no doubt going to learn a lot. And I just put out a post on Facebook, I think this morning or yesterday, about I learned most in life at the times where I assumed I didn't know anything or I didn't understand the topic. So when you sort of come to that place of researching, trying to get a little bit more info, and just start from scratch, assume, throw out all your biases, everything you've been told, and you just start from scratch and see what dots actually connect and make sense to you, you're probably going to learn some new things, and you're probably going to find out some things that really you've been told your whole life that were not the truth. And that's just sad, but it's the enemy's world that we're still living in. And so we're going to keep being exposed to that. But God gave us discernment and the Holy Spirit that if we're seeking from a right heart and mind and spiritual place without bias, without any motive, then we can get on the right track. And I've been blessed a lot since 2015. Well, I shouldn't say since 2015, but since I retired in 2015, I have had along that way over the last 10 years more time than the average person to look into certain things. And it started with just politics, what we know of as politics, the red and blue stuff. And then it just snowballed to all these other topics and children. That's part of what my passion became, seeing what was happening with children all over the world and the despicable things that I learned. And that became a major motivation to dig deeper. And of course, the amount of stuff I found out since then has just been unbelievable. So there's good and bad to that, to the amount of knowledge that you consume and obtain. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But when it comes to sharing with others or influencing in a certain way, of course, you want to be knowledgeable on certain things. So I kind of felt like I needed to go through that process before I could do it more publicly. And so that was part of the process for me personally. So thank you, Irma. Janelle, yes, on the misinformation and plenty of it. John Paul Cunningham, welcome back. Happy Monday to you. 100% putting God first and building that relationship first, then everything else follows. And those gifts and fruits of the Spirit really begin to manifest. Amen. And yeah, like I said, I've said many times that I've learned so many things by doing things the wrong way first, or just learning hard lessons first. And in a way, it's helped me to share with others, I think, correctly, because there's no way I can talk about it without being humble and basically saying, yeah, I've been wrong about a lot of things many times in my life. And I did it the wrong way first. That's how I know that I've got it right now, because I already tried all the wrong ways first. And knowing that when you don't have that connection with God, when you're not talking to Him on a regular basis, when there's no relationship there, you're just on your own, kind of floating around. And you're just bouncing around, making mistakes. Maybe you get some things right, some others you don't, but you don't have any real direction because God isn't your source. He's not your guide every single day. And it's actually really refreshing to try it. Try praying more, talking to Him more every day, because every day we get a fresh start. We can start over again. And that also means we don't have to worry about tomorrow and the next day and what's going to happen this week. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves about all the influencers that talk about this is going to happen and oh, big this, big that next week. Whether it be good and the bad stuff, is because it keeps the people that are following them hyper focused on all the wrong things. It doesn't mean you can't be an investor, be thinking about that stuff. Like, I think you should. But the real power with the connection with God and our focus and our relationship is a current day thing, as in today. And like I said, the prayers, the worshiping Him, the trusting Him right now, and as the Bible says, to not worry about tomorrow. And basically that same recurring theme is to be in the present with Him and trust Him as a friend and father and our guide. So I'll wrap it up there. I can go in tangents, people. I can jump all over the place. Some of you get that and love it. I guess the ones who watch the most and listen the most, and others maybe don't like that. And I get it. Some of you just want maybe one topic. You just want Pastor Bob Joyce, 2027. What's happening? Something really simple and just talk about that. But that is not how my brain works. And that's not what I see when I see things happening, because there's just so many different things. It's all interconnected in some way, but God's in control. He's got it. We don't need to worry about tomorrow's. Just focus on today and the things He's given us blessings over, things He's given us that we can control, whether that be little or big things. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Yeah, and just be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else or mimic, copy anyone. That's the best thing you can be, is yourself. So whatever skills you have, whatever things that are passions for you, that is always my recommendation, is to focus on those things for sure. So yeah, thank you all for joining me as always. I really want to get back to some more music videos and stuff, but I'm still going through the recovery process myself and still got challenges. That's why I'm sitting in the chair here the last few times instead of the studio. It's just easier, and I don't got a need to play the piano right now, but I want to do more of that. And as the second channel, MattSavinaMusic, gets bigger and we get more tools on that channel, then I can do music lives over there for those of you who are interested in the original music and the live music videos and those kinds of things. So thank you all again for watching, supporting. Make sure you check out the membership option for this channel if you want to be a regular supporter, because you are going to get access to videos that are not posted publicly on this channel or anywhere else, only on the membership channel. So, John Paul Cunningham, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting and for the prayers. That is huge. You're awesome. That makes my day. I know you've been a supporter before, so it is very much appreciated. For a while there, I was not asking for donations of any kind or doing the memberships or anything because I didn't want to be like a lot of the other channels that do, where there's like an association with money, but it's a support thing, and there's a lot of time that goes into making the videos and doing the lives and everything. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys, whether you're donating for the Philippines kids, which we're probably going to have another event here pretty soon. And you can check out the playlist that we have on the channel if you want to see some of the past videos. Consider donating to that. There's going to be a link in the description. Whether you want to be a super supporter. Hello, Pam. Thank you for the prayers. Whether you want to be a prayer warrior supporting the channel, what I do, or yeah, the videos, the live, the content that we're putting out about Pastor Bob and music, videos, and all that kind of stuff. However you can support, if it's a few dollars a month, it goes a long ways. It really does. And I've been blessed to be able to retire from the Marine Corps in 2015 and even have the disability in some ways because it has given me more time to do things that are really important to me and to share with all of you, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd be uh, too busy, like a lot of you. Maybe some of you are watching at work now, and you shouldn't be. But I would have a lot more things that I need to do every week throughout the days. So I've been really blessed that I can, if I work on the business side of things, that I can use that money, the resources, to bless others who need it most. Um, like the Philippines kids, which are at the top of my list. Um, but not just them, it could be uh, homeless in general or different programs that I've considered doing more with. But of course, it takes time and it takes a team, things that cost money. That's just the world we live in. So it does take money to sort of run these operations. And I'm just going with the flow. God is providing. And so we keep growing and doing more on this channel. And yeah, thank you all. Thanks again, John, for supporting. You're awesome. And yeah, Irma, Pam, Sue, all of you, thanks for stopping by. And if you're watching this on the replay, thanks for watching. We'll have more videos coming out soon. So until next time, take care and God bless. Some in and out lunch money from a fellow SoCal vet. Yes, I went there about a week ago, and it was a while since I've been there. It was good, really good. Always got to order something from the secret menu. I'm sure you know about that. Sometimes I'll just get like a 3x3 or something because I love protein. I want more of it. Which there's supposedly one of the restaurants that are getting rid of some of the chemicals and stuff out of their food. I forget what that was, but there's a trend. It's part of the long game. There's going to be more and more restaurants. Oh, yeah, animal style. Sue, bye for now. Oh yeah, I've been eating better. Almost a little bit too good, you might say. So I kind of got to slow it down now. I gained back my weight, I think. Well, not quite, but I gained back weight. So you need to slow down a little bit. Keep eating healthy, though. All right, I'll see you guys. Take care. See you soon.